There must be lights burning bright somewhere. Got to be birds flying high in the sky. If I can dream of a warmer sun, hope keeps shining on everyone. Tell me why, oh why can't my dream come true? Hey guys, I'm just checking if this live session is working. Just give me a second. All right, I think it's working. Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me. Give me a second. Testing, testing. Okay, so a couple of things I've learned today. Anyways, good morning, by the way. It's August 21st. The 21st day of this month. If you want to know why 2-1 is so important, 21, take a look at my /player podcast. I think I uploaded it there. But anyways, today, important stuff to explain to you guys. I'm replying to, I forgot his name, something McClane. Joe McClane. He posted a video about that guy Alex Gerardo from the Voice and Reason YouTube channel. Yeah, hold on, guys. Let me just see if I mistakenly paused. Hold on. Sorry about this. Just wanted to make sure I'm talking and it's working. La di da di da di da di da di da di da. All right, testing, testing. Okay, perfect. So, yeah, so this guy, Joe McClane, he gave his testimony about his life and how he how he he was, everyone is good and bad, as I always say. Everyone is good and bad. Our goal as Christians is to ask God to make us good, right? He alone can point us in the right direction, give us the grace and the gifts necessary, situations, whatever you want to call it, inner dispositions, and all these things to become as good as he wants us to be, right? So this guy was telling about his testimony about how he was a bad guy before, and now he's, I guess, according to him, he's good enough to continue his ministry as a digital person, digital content creator for the Catholic influencers. And and I mean, his argument in the end was like just basically telling this guy Alex Gerardo to kind of like let go of the Catholic influencing thing that he was doing, right? And um, yeah, I mean, the reality is the thing is, you only know if someone is, in the public sphere. You only know if they're leading a double life only when they get caught, right? So I mean, even this guy Joe McClane, you don't know. Just because he's married means nothing in terms of your knowledge, like the public's knowledge of whether he's doing God's will or not, right? I know a lot of Catholic influencers. They're like suggesting, get married first, Alex, and then come back, right? The thing is, I mean, even if you're married, you don't know if these people are doing God's will or not either, right? Back in the day, like that's just a social aspect of credibility that really is one of the many blurred lines um, that we just don't know, right? So, I mean, I don't think that's a good enough argument to tell this guy Alex to just stop his ministry, right? Um, yeah, I don't think it's a good argument at all. Um, because here's the thing: you even after a person converts to God, he may have these experiences or whatever. Doesn't change the fact that as long as we live in this world, there is the possibility of going against God, right? The only difference is the more you grow in the faith, the more quicker you get back up after you fall, right? After you realize you fell, right? And the good thing about what I see about this Alex guy is, in the scripture verse in the Bible, it says that if you get corrected by God, okay, um, the quicker you get corrected, the more you can. I mean, look at it as if God loves you enough to quickly correct you. So this guy Alex. He's had a um, the things he's done while he's being a Catholic influencer. The bad thing, according to an ultra conservative person, is that it's come to light, and now he shouldn't be in ministry. He shouldn't be around the public people that allows him to, well, cause him to do these things. And yeah, that is true in terms of the occasion of sin. That is a teaching of the church where you have to make sure you can't be around places where it'll cause you to sin, right? But as I said before in my previous videos about this guy Alex, we don't know the culpability of this guy Alex, right? We don't know anything about the situation he was in, whether he was being forced into it either. You don't know. Like you have to ask yourself, was this girl, whoever, were they also like what were they doing in the situations? Like was there any like how like especially women they idolize their man a lot, right? I mean you can think about you see in the movies when they're having sex they're like They're saying, "Oh God," and they're referring to the guy, and the guy is you know how like they can transfer things. I'm not saying I don't even know what this guy did, by the way. I'm just saying, like, we can have situations where yes, the ego does play a part where the guy feels like he is up there and the man, the alpha man, and all these things. Especially when you're doing these public things, right? You are the center of attention. You are seen as this top guy, and women are attracted to powerful people who people are attracted to, right? It's just a nature. This is natural, right? It's important that I guess he understands this, um, and makes adjustments to humble himself, right? Like, you know, maybe he should get an in addition to this job, get another job where you are at the lowest point. See the difference in how, when you're in the lower position, see if you can get a girl then, you know what I'm saying? So you can see the difference in the dynamics, right? When you are in the apologetics and you're a top guy, you probably have all these women attracted. I mean, he's a good looking guy, but I mean, he'll be able to see the difference between when you're in the top and when you're in the bottom, right? In a normal job, like get just a simple job where minimum wage and you're like in the lowest position and you have um you aren't the alpha male. You're actually the inverse of that is you're getting ordered by women. They're telling you what to do and all these things, so that his spiritual life is humble in his conscience. He will understand the reality that this is just a illusion in terms of it's a psychological thing, right? I mean, I'm sure he kind of knows this. He must be like what 30 years old, so he should know this by now, right? But if he doesn't, maybe this is something he needs to do. In addition to being a Catholic apologetics, he should do this other thing. Okay, so that's one thing he should know. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, like, here's the thing about what this Joe McClane guy is insinuating is that it it gives the wrong impression and a conclusion that Catholics um, wrongly will assume that if this is a true way of going about this whole scandal, that it gives the wrong impression. I mean, not wrong impression. It gives it makes the people on the top in positions in the Catholic sphere who are doing well. It it makes us conclude, if we are to assume Joe McClane's, I guess, theory, that after you're married, you're all of a sudden you're going to be great, doing everything well. It gives the impression that we we won't be able to, like, won't be able to be misled by these Catholic influencers that are married, or according to priests that are celibate, taking the vows of virginity. We've seen these things where even these situations where married people or even celibate priests, so called, are not doing what they should be doing, right? And all I'm saying is to protect those. Uh, I'm just thinking about the protection of minors and how we approach as community people when we're talking about sex and scandal, right? We don't know. We blur. Uh, we kind of we're polarizing. I mean, there's a reason this video is in the playlist called Canada Polar Ice. It sounds like cannot polarize, right? I mean, I'm purposely doing this and telling you don't polarize, you know? Um, Start speaking about different possibilities that could arise. I mean, you guys are old enough, all you Catholic influencers. You're probably, if not, I mean, I'm probably in the middle of your ages, underneath 41, and some of you are older than me, right? But um, yeah, I mean, yeah, like I, like it's come to my realization at this age, 41 years old, that you really can't trust anyone, even the Pope. Even the Pope. I'm talking about personal sin. I'm not talking about the actual, ex cathedra or the teachings. Um, you know, I'm just talking about the person. As long as it's a Catholic teaching that as long as we are alive in this world, we have the ability to decide to not do God's will. It's it's a Catholic teaching, and even the Pope has the ability. I'm not saying he can do it, but he has the ability to go against God's will. Okay, so if anything, if you hear in this thing and you want to remember is it's up to the individual, Christian individual, to seek the truth, you know, of anyone. And, you know, have don't have your expectations so high that when you find out scandal happens, so-called scandal, you know, what you believe is good and bad, and when you realize this person, so-called, person who is supposed to follow the faith of what you perceive as good or bad, does something wrong, don't mm, don't make people your hero. You know, just don't. I mean, yeah. So, uh, what was I gonna say? Yeah, and there's another guy, Anthony Stein. He does a radio podcast called Reason. Oh no, not Reason. Return to Tradition, right? And so he was talking about the priestess that I had mentioned. This is another video I had mentioned. I talk about. I'm critiquing Michael Lofton in that one. You can go check it out. But this guy, Alex, I mean not Alex, Anthony Stein. There's one important thing I wanted to think. I mean something he said in his critique about the priestess involved in being around where there's consecrating, where they're contradicting. Give me a second. Okay, guys, I'm gonna cut this short because some guy just, I don't know. There's a car alarm going on, and I don't want to talk over this car alarm. Okay, so it'll be that. This is the end. Bye. Oh, huh. Okay, I guess not. This is not the end because the alarm is still. Okay, good. Anyways, hey, sorry about that, guys. I'm outside. Anyways, what was I talking about? Okay, since we've had this break, it's time to go to commercial. Okay, guys, if you want to help me fix this pedophilia issue, go to myguardianangel.com/QR, and you'll see a website with a couple of pictures you can post on your businesses or even houses, whatever. Just post it up. There's a QR code on the flyer, and you know people will be directed to my Patreon page. Okay. I just, I mean, I don't really need a lot of money. Sorry about that. I don't need a lot of money. The thing is, I need a lot of people. If if they go on a free subscription, I need them to kind of like watch my like yeah. I mean, I'm going to be going to different businesses trying to figure out why they like if I can do a proof of concept, right? Like figure out why can't we make businesses um, make money trying to fix the pedophilia instead of because the pedophilia has become a money making thing. So why not try the opposite, right? And I need you guys to kind of like tell me if I'm interpreting things in a negative way when I talk to the managers. I'm just gonna go around, right, different places. Can I'll just do it live, and you can always if I interpret it is in a bad way, a rejection or whatever. Maybe you guys can say, oh no 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 no, this guy probably was saying this way. You just took it in the wrong way, you know. So yeah, take those flyers, post it up, and I'm gonna need you guys to help me out. Okay, if it's not financially, it's just we just need more information to figure out how we can do this kind of proof of concept of um, letting people know about the Michelangelo Code. Basically, it's a Me Too movement for kids, right? The quicker we will be able to figure out that a priest is abusing kids and being transferred to other locations where no one knows about it, and then they abuse them, and then they get transferred again. The quicker we can figure out who these people are being transferred, the better, right? The better that the parents can protect their kids, right? And make sure, okay, we got a new priest, and this app, the Michelangelo Code app, um, you know, is giving a measure of alarm that is pretty high measure of alarm that this guy could be a pedophile, could be, right? And then you just make sure you don't have the kids be alone with the pedophile priest, right? It's not for you to go to the cops, it's for you to be the cop, right? The parents, right? You are the cop, you are patrolling your neighborhood, right? And that's the whole point, right? Um, the data that these kids uh, who are being abused it needs to be in different independent branches of this so-called Me Too movement. That's why I'm trying to say, like, I'm just doing a proof of concept in my community to see if it could be a money making thing, so that you guys can do the same in your community, independent of me. So that if someone threatens me to remove the data in my branch, then at least we the child would have the child is supposed to be able to tell more than just one independent branch of the Michelangelo Code of their abuses, right? So if I get, coerced to erase the data, then your branch will still have that data, so that the data is not lost. The accusation from these kids who are being abused are not lost. It'll be up to the Pope to create his own little figure out some sort of technology to reduce the measure of alarm based on lie detector tests, scientific um, data that they can, they can they could probably condition an AI bot, given the fact that they are actually pedophiles in the Catholic Church who have turned their ways. Those those ones that are have turned their ways, they can help. Um, they can help as test subjects to condition an AI bot or whatever. Doesn't even have to be AI, just a statistical algorithm to reduce the measure of alarm based on certain things, right? So our job is to accuse a priest. The Pope has the the test subjects, if you want to call it, to have a better assessment of if a priest is lying or not, right? And they can it's their job to reduce the likelihood that someone that the Michelangelo Code is accusing as being a pedophile as being a pedophile, right? So kind of like a battle between us and the Vatican, but at the same time, there's not a call to totally go against the church in terms of your faith and all of that, but it is a call to help protect the minors. Okay, so guys, if you hear me and you think I'm like tired and stuff, I'm not getting enough oxygen in my brain right now because I have a cold. Just give me a second. Okay, so uh, yeah, I mean, there's another important thing I wanted to mention. If a person really believes they're being an instrument of God's justice, they need to come out and just say it. Because at that point, the laity have to look at, first of all, they don't have to believe the person, but they have to, for them to understand the person being an instrument of God's justice, they have to know that there are ethical principles that pertain to the vertical dimension of the relationship between higher beings and lower beings within the within creation, but also between the divine, the creator, and the creation. Okay, the majority of Catholics are not in the hierarchy. It's a very small, minute percentage that are in the hierarchy. So the teachings that they teach us are pertain to the the horizontal dimension of equal beings. That is humans equal in being a spirit and an animal together as a one being. We're equals, right? Um, when there are mitigating circumstances of, freedom in individual in certain humans, right, based on social aspects and all these things that you do read in the Old Testament, although they are meant and supposed to be equal in being, the the culpability of their actions are reduced, and you just have to learn the vertical dimensions of ethics for you to understand this. Like a person who is given um, the dispensation, or actually is being the instrument of God's justice, if it's true. You don't have to believe it, but if it's true, there will be things that you think are bad they're doing, but they could be able to do it if they are working in the vertical dimension of ethics. That you probably don't know, right? So, um, yeah. So this Anthony Stein, he's making fun of um, Martin Luther, who is no more. Like, he's a Protestant right now, but he was a Catholic, and he's explaining certain things as if Martin Luther's a bad guy, right? And the ultra liberals are praising Martin Luther, and the ultra conservatives are not praising Martin Luther. But the reality is, uh, it is my opinion that a lot of these people who end up, they start off as Catholics and they end up getting excommunicated. It's my opinion that they start off learning that there's children being sexually abused within the confessional. It's so important that you understand that I'm saying this. Within the place that God is known to visit, as in the Old Testament with Abraham, God visited. You know, precisely those places, I believe, my theory, that the majority of the people who get excommunicated are the people who want to fight that particular thing. Because at that point, the just hand of God does cause domination between one equal to another equal. You've seen it with Adam and Eve, right? When there is a break, a rupture in the relationship between God and man, the vertical dimension of ethics, you get a rupture as well as a consequence between the horizontal realm, so that, okay, the mercy of God is that he allows this to happen, if not directly doing it. He allows domination so that in our heart we know something is wrong. It shouldn't be this way in the horizontal dimension of equality. And we are supposed to know this, okay, the quicker the better, so that we can turn ourselves back to God. So in this case of sexual abuse within the confessional, a person makes themselves out as if God is having sex with the person being abused. And we know in the Old Testament and just normal culture that sex brings about equality. It's supposed to. Even God has determined this in the Old Testament, page 215. He even says, when you have prisoners of war, if when you're going in to conquer the land and you have prisoners of war, if you marry them and you have sex with them, and later you don't want to be with them, they are equal to you now. You cannot sell them as slaves, or like, they are equal. The sex causes equality. So this is a teaching from God Himself that you guys need to know. And it is for this reason that just in our heart, mankind knows this. And when people are abused in the confessional, it's known that God visits the confessional. Read about Saint Faustina, right? It's a known fact. When this happens, there is a rupture, and in between the relationship between God and man, and you see injustice, you see unjust wars, you see things that just don't make sense and shouldn't. We're not called to have unjust wars or all these things, but as a consequence of our us allowing this to happen, this sex in the confessional, as a consequence, it just is a reality. And I'm telling you guys, Christian faithful, this is a reality that is happening now. Okay, so you're always going to get this this polarization in the horizontal realm because there will be always this battle. We all know there's something wrong, but focusing on the battling of the horizontal realm is not a good approach to solving this issue. The issue is to tell the truth about the vertical dimension of God. Like, go to St. Thomas Aquinas, for example. Look at his writings about, for example, the Catholic faith. You hear priests teach, okay, sex is only for marriage. But read St. Thomas Aquinas. Understand that in his time there was there were different caste systems, and in his case, in his time, he he actually understood the vertical dimension of the relations, right? And there were cases where you know if you actually wanted to marry someone and you were engaged, whatever, having sex is not before the marriage is not a bad it's not a bad thing. It's a vertical principle, right? But this is the case where one is a lower caste or something like that. But what I'm trying to say is these are the nuances, guys, that you need to learn so that you don't get polarized into ultra conservative or um, ultra liberal. Because by doing this, by allowing this to happen in this community of the faithful, you're stopping your ability to learn the vertical principles between God and man. You're stopping your growth in your spiritual life. You're stopping it, right? You're not understanding that the people in the hierarchy, they are a very minute people in terms of a small percentage of the Catholic faith, and they do have different ethical principles that they need to follow as well that we as laity cannot, unless God has given us directly the dispensation to do something, right? Um, yeah, so I mean, all I'm saying is, guys, just be more specific. If you're going to talk about sex before marriage or sex in marriage, first of all, talk about the fact that, okay, are you with a girl that wants to have a sacramental marriage? Are you, or is it someone who's not even a Christian? Or is it like there are different things that needs to be addressed that no one talks about, right? Look at St. Thomas Aquinas. Understand he had to grapple with these things, right? Um, when someone who is originally sacramentally married but then apostatized, then what, right? What can you do? Like, there's so many rules that needs to be addressed, right? So, anyways, I think that's it for today, guys. Um, before I go, I just need to test if this is still working, and then I'm just gonna say bye after. But just give me a sec. It must be right. Testing, 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 testing. Okay, guys, that's it for today. God bless. Bye bye. Thank you.